One of my favorite little insiders is that Father Mike Schmitz was almost Robin.
Oh, really?
He auditioned for the Robin to George Clooney's Batman.
Weird flex, but okay. I was almost George Clooney's Batman's Robin.
And now I'm a priest.
Now I'm the handsomest priest on
YouTube. Now I'm the most famous priest in the world except the Pope. Who's your favorite Batman? Let's rank Batmans really fast.
Oh, this is a hot take. Oh, you want to rank them?
Yeah, like let's just go from let's just rank all 7 then.
Okay.
We don't have to agree either. Just think about how you would rank them real quick and then give me yours and then I'll give you mine. Or if you want me to go first, I can. Makes for good radio.
Yes. Okay. My number 7.
Number 7. And I'll let you know if I agree.
Who? Ben Affleck. Number 7 is Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck's your number 7?
Yes.
All right.
He's too buff.
Too buff. Okay. All right. I disagree.
Who's your number 7?
George Clooney is number 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just because of the quality of the movie doesn't mean he's bad. Okay. No judgment.
I guess
we don't judge.
He plays a good Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
He plays the Playboy billionaire well.
Okay. Number 6, Val Kilmer.
I will agree with you there.
Okay. There we go. See?
I believe he is outside of the top 5.
I've never seen him, but I know he can't be worse than Ben Affleck. So that's right. Clooney's 5. Keaton is 4.
Keaton 4. Okay.
3. Controversial take. Christian Bale.
Okay. All right. That might influence our episode here.
Yep. Okay. 2. Adam West.
The Adam West.
Yes, that's the holy shark grenade. Batman shark grenade. Shark repellent. That'd be pretty scary. A grenade launches sharks.
We're just stuck on sharks too.
Yeah. It's after last episode, it'd be very scary.
If you missed Jaws.
And then Robert Pattinson, I think, is my favorite Batman.
See, that is a hot take.
Because, not even that I'm a big comic book guy,
right?
But Batman in the comics, he's the great detective.
Sure.
All of the other Batmans are just about being buff and using your gadgets. Robert Pattinson's Batman is actually doing detective work.
Sure.
Forensics and.
So you're like a comic book, like stickler then.
No, it's not like fidelity to the comic books. I really like that about Batman. That's what sets Batman apart.
Now, is that in the same universe as Penguin? Robert Pattinson's Batman. I know you're a big Penguin guy.
Yes, the Penguin miniseries, which is an excellent show.
I know you've referred it to me a few times.
It is the best.
You texted me in the middle of the night that one night and said you got to watch the Penguin.
Yes.
So here's my top 7.
Okay.
So I had mentioned 7 is Clooney. Even though that film was sort of iconic as a kid growing up, it was like the one that came out when I was like peak kid Batman. Like Batman was my guy. But looking back as an adult, having seen all those films, I kind of put Clooney in the back of the train there. 6 for me is Affleck. 5 is Adam West. At 5.
He's the original.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, I put him there because from an entertainment standpoint, from a cinematic standpoint, I cannot rank him and that movie any higher than the rest of the 4. Because then Val Kilmer comes in. Then I got to give my homeboy Michael Keaton in the top 3 because he's from Pittsburgh. So he's a homeboy. So I can be a homer for a little bit and put him there. Then it gets a little dicey for me because I hear you with,
dark, moody Batman.
Yeah, like angsty, like Spider-Man 3 Batman. But I put Pattinson 2, Bale 1. I think Bale, if you look at the whole trilogy and what Nolan was able to do, Bale represents a full Batman with the proper origin story that gives you a lot in Batman Begins. In Through the Dark Knight with one of the best movies, one of the best comic book adaptations of all time. And then you have Dark Knight Rises with one of the best villains of all time. In Bane.
Bane is the best villain?
Yeah.
No, okay. I understand why your rankings are this way, because your priorities are all wrong.
Well, no, you forget that in the feature of The Dark Knight Rises, there is a scene in the football stadium, and there is a lowly extra in the 500 section who made the film, who changed the dynamic of the picture. Yes.
You were in the stadium in Dark Knight Rises?
I was.
The guy's head got snapped?
3 good friends of mine are on camera where you can see their faces. Shout out to Alex, to Tom, and to Colleen. They were there, and I should have went with you guys, because you ended up in the front row for the... remember the football team name? What's their name?
The Gotham... No, what?
The Rogues?
Gotham Rogues.
Yeah, so they were front row fans, and I ended up in the top. We moved around.
You're in a movie.
We moved around.
In the nosebleeds.
They kept moving like all these people into different sections to then make it seem like the stadium was full.
Yeah.
They didn't want to bring 70,000 people in.
This was before the Disney days of AI and
right. Well, you could have done a lot of that. Yeah. But yeah, so I would have Bale number 1. I think he represents a more complete Batman. I hear you with Detective Bat.
It's not just that. Pattinson's Batman looks like somebody who actually watched their parents get murdered when he was a child. Christian Bale has like Nepo baby written all over.
Well, sure. Okay. Let's extend it out. If we're going to talk about the other characters, though, you got to talk about who the best Alfred is as well. It's clearly Michael Caine. He has the best Alfred. He has probably the best Joker out of all of them, which like the other ones didn't tackle the Joker, except for West, obviously.
And Keaton.
And Keaton as well.
And you say you're going to poo-poo on Jack Nicholson's Joker?
See, that's why he's 3, because he had Nicholson's Joker.
No. I mean, yeah, okay, I like Christian Bale. Keaton looks too shifty. And
it was the late 80s though. And I'm
also kind of biased because I don't like Tim Burton.
Sure.
I don't like his style.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even the good Tim Burton,
right.
I don't get into that. I'm
right.
not goth. I don't shop at Hot Topic.
Right.
I don't have a Jack Skellington tattoo.
Right. So the other thing about the titles, I do kind of like The Batman, as the title. Isn't that the name of Pattinson's Batman?
Yes. It's got a really good theme, the music. I like it because it's actually... So maybe this is where we transition into talking about the episode.
Yeah, please.
Because Gotham as a character is supposed to be like the worst of cities. It's supposed to be the worst of humanity.
Right.
And I'll give Tim Burton credit. His Gotham is very dark and dreary and gray and depressing. Right. And the Christopher Nolan Batmans, as much as I love them, Gotham is pretty shiny. It's pretty bright. It's not like it's supposed to be seedy. It's supposed to be like the worst of New York, or all the American cities.
Right.
It just doesn't. Pattinson's Batman.
Right.
It's very dark.
It's underbelly dark, yeah.
Everything's dark.
I will tell you that the reason I have Pattinson for sure, he's almost like a 1A, 1B. And he has still more to prove. He's only had one movie.
Got a whole nother movie.
So this next movie could really, I think that's what I'm getting at too. Bale has had 3 films to stake his claim there. The other ones, none of them have been in 3. Have had 3. Maybe West has had several.
Yeah, I don't know about West, but yeah, you're right. Keaton
so
only had 2.
Yeah, so Keaton had 2, Kilmer had 1, Clooney had 1. So yeah, I think for me too, like what I wanted to bring back up for a second is his Alfred's pretty good. He has Andy Serkis, who's like
I actually don't like
a buff, To my again, I kind of like him because I'm an Andy Serkis fan.
Yeah,
but he's not your quintessential like Alfred the Butler. He could
it's too gruff for me.
Yeah, that's what I mean in a way. Yeah.
So this is kind of trash TV since we're talking about Batman. Sure. The show Gotham.
Right.
It's a little. It's low quality and.
It was TV. It's for TV. It was on cable.
But I also really, it's a guilty pleasure.
It
I
is.
would say his Alfred I like. It's enough.
Jeremy Irons. Is it Jeremy Irons?
No. I don't know who the actor is.
Was Jeremy Irons a? He wasn't an Alfred.
No, you're thinking of Scar from The Lion King.
No, maybe I'm thinking of Arrow or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen those, but
no, Jeremy Irons is Scar.
I know.
The Lion King.
I know he is.
Sorry, just animals. I don't know if you got confused.
He's in The Flash. He plays The Flash's tech guy or whatever. Or not tech guy, but that guy was in Scrubs. Forget his name. We're off the rail.
Talking about trash TV.
Let's reel it back in.
And here we go.
All right, so here is a quick synopsis of The Dark Knight. Widely regarded as the greatest comic book adaptation of all time, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight transcends the genre, delivering not just a superhero story, but a relentless meditation on chaos, order, and the fragile morality that holds civilization together. At its core, the film is a philosophical chess match. The Joker is chaos, not random but calculated, weaponized unpredictability designed to shatter the illusion of control. Every explosion, every scheme, is a precise assault on Gotham's crumbling order. Batman walks the same dark streets, wielding chaos in a different form. Controlled, disciplined, yet outside the law. His mission exposes the cracks in the system while trying to hold it together. Flanking this battle are the two faces of order. Harvey Dent, Gotham's White Knight, the symbol of justice through lawful means. And Jim Gordon, the quiet pragmatist, working within the system, even as it falls apart. The Dark Knight isn't simply good versus evil. It's a war between conflicting visions of chaos and control, and a brutal reminder that sometimes our heroes break long before the villains do. We talked about the score in Jaws, and I think that's one thing that is so iconic again in The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, and so that's actually, if you've ever heard Hans Zimmer talk about how he wrote the theme for Joker, it's not your like typical villain introduction. The intensity that the music picks up with, and it keeps getting higher and higher and climbing, and you're it's suspense because you're expecting the drop and you never get it until the end, and you don't get a drop. It just trails off. And then you start the whole beautiful sequence of the heist, and which is just I love the opening. I think it's a perfect opening to a movie. It does give some a pet peeve of mine is exposition.
Sure.
I like to be shown more than told.
Oh yeah.
So there's a little bit of that between the thugs. Who's this Joker guy? Yeah, he's a new guy. He's, that you can leave. But other than that, it's a wonderful scene.
Yeah, I think it's just clever in how it's done. It sets you up. It introduces the mob's money, as a character almost. It looms large throughout. Not even in just the scene where it gets burned and everyone's tearing up. The mobsters are like crying because the money's getting burned. But it introduces a lot of the aspects of those themes for sure.
Yeah, so this was a very natural choice as a follow-up movie to Jaws, where we really focused on order and chaos as concepts. And we're going to try our best not to retread the ground from last episode and just repeat it, but order and chaos are definitely elements. I mean, even the Joker explicitly says, I'm an agent of chaos.
Yeah, and then I think the big difference is there are representations of order, but everyone who prides themselves maybe of the order ends up either crashing and burning or flipping or having to compromise morals. So like order is completely taken over by chaos in this film, whereas in Jaws it comes down to the final shot for order to triumph over chaos. But in this film, Batman, Dent obviously completely change over. Gordon is left solo, begging for the lives of his family. Like there's no order left by the end of the movie.
so here's what I think about that, and this is actually a question that a listener posed to me about just talking about chaos is not personified, and he asked about what do you look at a figure like Satan, who's evil? Wouldn't you say he's an agent of chaos? And you say in some sense, sometimes
right.
He's chaos, and in other times he's order. I mean, that's the Pharisees,
right?
That's the evil of order, and Christ is an agent of chaos when he flips the tables in the temple,
right?
So, taking that idea where we're moving beyond good and evil, even though the Joker is absolutely evil, not condoning anything he's saying or does,
or any of the murders,
but it shows the Joker is a cleansing force in Gotham, if you think about it. And so part of what causes the conflict is Batman pushes too far. He goes too far in fighting crime. Right. It makes the mobsters desperate. And Alfred even says that explicitly.
Right.
That you spat in the faces of the criminals of Gotham. What did you expect them to do?
Right. And if you remember, one of the big themes coming out of Batman Begins that comes through strongly, obviously, is Bruce Wayne's desire to have a normal life, and settle down with Rachel Dawes.
The real my Rachel Dawes.
She ain't your Rachel Dawes.
Maggie Gyllenhaal is not my Rachel Dawes.
I know.
Sorry, I interrupted.
We said we weren't gonna get into Maggie versus.
I went there. I'm sorry. It's low point of the movie, but in any case. Continue. Right.
No, that's okay. But you're right that he's constantly seeking. He wants it to be done. He wants to cleanse the city, feel like he has had his revenge or his parents' revenge, and then he can settle down with her. So he's constantly aiming for that. I think that's why he went too far. Because you could say well, wouldn't he have been so smart to say just take out the main 80%, and then the cops can handle the mob, perhaps, but I think that's the biggest thing, is that he is so hell-bent on creating the order so that the city can be perceived as perfect, the way his father idealized Gotham, the way he had always heard about it, the way his father's Gotham was idealized by even Lucius Fox or by others, telling him how great his father was. So there's this element of Bruce Wayne getting in the way of Batman in some ways there, because maybe Batman would have said, I'm not going to chase down every mob, dirty piece of dirty money in the city, but they kind of stretched it, got greedy. Gordon got greedy maybe too.
Yeah, or it's just there was imbalance, and so the Joker is this counterbalance,
right?
And so it challenges, but so what the Joker does, I mean, he ends up taking out the police commissioner and the judge and almost the mayor. And okay, well, that's a bad thing.
Right. Right.
But you also see Gotham as this corrupt institution, and Harvey Dent's the white knight cutting through. And, he does this great... he arrests the mobsters on RICO charges, and the mayor... First thing, once doors are closed, the mayor's like, what the heck are you doing? This is a dumb idea. And so it's not the appropriate response. And so the Joker does kind of cleanse Gotham in a sense, where he corrects, and the criminal underworld. He just cleans house, too. So I think there's elements in something you and I had talked about before we started recording.
Right.
Was there's these fractals. So a concept that I think would be helpful to bring up, the idea of a fractal image.
Right.
Right. So if you have a picture, and if you zoom into a piece of it, it's like a miniature version of the whole picture.
Right.
And so you could think like a microcosm almost, where the story has lots of, because we all order and chaos, you think about yin and yang, the light and dark.
When you fractal it, I think it's just different on a spectrum of chaos, because every character is getting more chaotic throughout. Even Rachel, to a certain point, leaves the penthouse with Alfred, the safest place in Gotham. She says, you know what, I'm not staying here. She could have stayed there and been safe. Everybody is entering into the wave of chaos in Gotham because they're trying to save it. They recognize that it's on the brink. And one thing that I wanted to mention, the imbalance that Batman caused by putting away all the mobsters, putting away all these criminals maybe who probably deserved it, and they were committing crimes. But if you think, let's fast forward to the ferries for a second. At the end of the film, there's the boat of the criminals, and then there's the boat of normal civilians. Neither one of them blows the other up. It was the Joker trying to prove that one of them would do it, you know. But even those criminals, and the one big criminal, you know, the big guy who represents, like, they all stop and watch him because he must be a pretty bad guy. He tosses it out into the harbor, and I think that he represents that criminal maybe who is, if there was a good justice system and a good, you know, there wasn't Arkham, you know, there wasn't this awful criminal system, which I think is well documented throughout the Batman universe, is that, like, there's so many criminals, they don't know what to do with them, and they're often mistreated, and that's like the theme of, that's like the cadence of the entire first film as well, is the mistreating of the criminals. But yeah, the Ferries, I think, represent that moment, breakpoint, where what you're talking about of, you know, of the city being, you know, the influence of Batman was too heavy on them, whereas you have to kind of leave a thin layer of like, let the people in the city figure it out.
For example, Batman is an agent of order,
right?
Like law and order, justice is really it, but he's also chaos to the criminal underworld, to the mobsters, and whereas the Joker is just this, like, pure chaotic being. He just wants to tear down and destroy and tear apart.
He completes him, right?
Yeah.
You complete me.
Yeah, which I didn't realize that was a quote from Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. Didn't know that. I've never seen Jerry Maguire.
One of the top, I think it was rated in the top 100 movie lines of all time.
Really?
You complete me. From Jerry Maguire.
Okay. Another concept that I wanted to touch on that is, you have to go with me here because it's a bit ethereal. If you think about, like, systems, right? You have what can be accounted for. You have a system of accounting. Say you have a carton of eggs. This is the example I always use. You have a carton of eggs. You can fit 12 eggs, and everything fits in a spot. And that's a very order-based system, and we have that for everything. For, you know, we catalog animals, we finances. I mean, everything. We have these categories. But then there's this concept of the thing that can't be counted. You can call it like the 13th egg, in a way. It's always the thing that's outside the system, and you can never get around it. You can't have. I mean, you can have a perfect system. The perfect system integrates what's outside, not just what can be accounted for. And so that's the place where Batman sits, because he's got Gotham and the court systems and the cops and Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon, and that's the system. That's what can be accounted for, but it's incomplete. Batman is the one on the outside. That's the fullness of the scope of reality. And his conflict is that he wants Harvey Dent, he wants the system to account for everything. And this is where I think the political left, the big government types, live, where they want government and laws to fix every problem. There's a solution to every societal problem. If we had these laws, these government programs, there's a political solution to everything. It can't account for it. There's the human element, the unaccountable. And Batman is forced to come to the place where Batman is necessary. It can't just be Harvey. And we'll talk about the conclusion of the movie. But I think that, and actually, I noticed jurisdiction and boundaries is a reoccurring theme. At the very beginning, Batman says Batman has no limits. And then he tells Harvey as Bruce Wayne, talking about where's your jurisdiction at. And then Batman has limits. He says that. Looks like Batman has limits. I was wrong. So that's, again, the boundaries if you're talking about the border and what lives outside of them. And what the Joker's doing is he's like this corrosive, acidic element that just, even at the very beginning, like the social cohesion of a heist, he gets all of them to kill each other.
Right.
It's just so destructive.
Right.
He starts...
For no reason either.
Yeah, because he doesn't want the money. He doesn't care about the money.
It's not about the money. It's about having chaos. It's like that there wasn't the cops would have come in and realized like who they killed each other too. There's no, it's not about the heist. It is for the Joker to like get the attention of the mob, but it's not about this group, this such a calculated theft. The group doesn't matter. It's not, it's just one man's, chaos ridden brain, his broken background. And that's something I know we'll get into as well, is this, who is the Joker? He doesn't tell the same story twice. Who does he represent? Who does he, come across as for us? You mentioned, he's evil incarnate. He's the devil. He's the, he represents evil.
Yes, I don't want to get caught on camera saying that the Joker's not evil.
I was trying to set you up.
The Joker is evil. He's chaos incarnate. He reminds me of the character from the Cormac McCarthy novel, Blood Meridian. Judge Holden. I don't know if you're familiar with this story. I'm not familiar.
Tell me though.
Judge Holden it's like set in the cowboy times. Judge Holden is this large, bald, hairless man who roams about the desert, and he has a little notebook. And when he finds an animal, he draws a very perfect picture of it in his notebook, and then he eradicates it. He's just this killing, destructive, evil. The dude, they could never make a movie about this book because it's vile. But it's that idea of, I just want to kill. I just want to kill and capture. The Joker just wants to mess with people. But something interesting, we talk about the system. The Joker's outside of the system. If you think about the Joker card, where the name comes from, you have a 52 card deck. It's a system. It's suits and numbers, and everything's accounted for in that. And yet you have the one card outside the set, the Joker. Doesn't have a number, doesn't have a suit. Has no value, but can be anything in a game. That's that concept. And the Joker character is absolutely like that. And so you brought up with like his backstory. Yeah. He doesn't have one. He tells a different story every time.
Want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah, which everybody when this came out in 2008, everybody had a Joker impression.
Oh yeah, and a bad one.
Yes, I never heard a good one.
Well, and I think we would be amiss to mention Heath Ledger and his performance as the Joker.
Phenomenal.
Not only just winning posthumously the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. It arguably was driven mad by the role and the method acting that he took to become the Joker.
Oh yeah, and it was very difficult to see, realize. Oh yeah, that's Heath Ledger.
Right.
Because not just the makeup, but the whole personality, the whole character. He's just unrecognizable. It's so good.
I know his other films. He kind of came out of that with, the Joker character came out of nowhere for Ledger. I think that he had played these heartthrob types and a couple other. He was always the love interest in the films he kind of played in some ways. But then he came in at such a young age too. You think maybe he was like mid-late 30s. He was 28 when he died. So he played the role at 27. Yeah, I think that's another reason we were talking about ranking the Batmans. I think that, you know, you can only measure a Batman by his villain as well. Like how, I think in some ways, you know, and I think the Joker was also the best villain out of all of the Batmans. This Joker.
Yeah, because he's such a direct opposite force, and even Heath Ledger's physicality in his performance, even in the very first scene, the way he swings his arm with the machine gun, is he's just so nonchalant.
The head tilt too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so, and his eyes, the way he uses his eyes too.
Yeah.
That the tongue, the licking his lips thing.
Yep.
Is very it's creepy.
But it's almost like attractive is the wrong word, but it's also like it draws you in because you just. I found myself. I've seen this movie. It's probably one of the movies I'll go back and rewatch every year, at least annually. But it's like, even this rewatch recently to prepare for this show, I was drawn to just want to know more about this character. I'm interested in his backstory. I want to know what got him like this. You know, I want to know if he can be saved. I want to know if he can be, you know, if he can be explained. But I think that's the beauty of it in the portrayal, especially, you know, versus, you know, Nicholson or we should producer Olivia, who's the actor who played the Joker in Adam West Batman. But like, we'll put it on the screen on the bottom. But like, I should have looked up his name. But like, I think that's what sets him apart, obviously, from even them.
Mm-hmm. Let us not forget Jared Leto. Joker.
Let us not forget.
Let us forget, please.
Admittedly, I have not watched Suicide Squad.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I don't care really. Like, I think he's so a destructive force. It's so impersonal.
Right.
I mean, I remember the fan theories. Was he an Iraq veteran? If you've ever seen the lore videos about who is the Joker,
right.
I think the point is he's not a real person.
Right. I
mean, he is in the story, but
well, right, yeah. I think if you go if you're gonna pull the comics in, there's always so much there, and it's not always followed. But if we're gonna rank Jokers, I mean, I think we talked about not using the voice Batman, but Mark Hamill as the voice of the Joker is kind of iconic.
It's
like you can't.
The Joe. I mean, it's the perfect amalgam of.
He's so
I
good.
like Heath Ledger, for sure.
But he was definitely influenced by Hamill's Joker. Yeah. I think the cadence, the pitch, obviously the laugh. You know, it's a little bit of a. You know, again, not attractive, but there's it draws you in. The laugh even draws you in and you could see how the underbelly of Gotham would have been attracted to that because they got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Yeah. And this is a guy who's going to get them there, and he was getting them there. You know, he was winning for the entire movie.
Yeah,
to the very end.
Yeah, something about the Joker again. Why I think that's such a unique characterization, chaos, comedy.
Right.
It lives in this very interesting space. Comedy is a truth-seeking in some sense. It points out things that don't make sense that we all just accept. Like, it's kind of where comedy lives. It's poking fun, but there's always truth in comedy. Like, nothing's ever funny if it's not at least partially true. You even think about insults and things like that. Comedy's saying what nobody else will say, but what everybody's thinking.
No, absolutely.
And so the Joker, as this force in Gotham, his whole MO is to show the people of Gotham who they really are. To show Batman who he really is. And to bring people to their breaking point so that they can see they're not. And so, like, Batman, the self-righteousness that Batman's not going to take a life.
Right.
Joker tries to push him beyond that.
Right. And he wants him to take off his mask and you know, prove that he is just a man. Because as a symbol, he can be so much more, you know, as an agent of order in perceived order. You know, the spotlight up in the sky. You know, the beam of light. The criminals. There's the shot. It's kind of a cool shot where the criminals are gonna meet up and do some wheeling and dealing.
Not tonight.
Tonight's not the night.
Yeah.
I don't have a good feeling about it, or whatever he says. And it's like, yeah, that's what they got them. And that's what you had mentioned earlier, Alfred saying, is that maybe Batman went too far. He, you know, there's, you know, such a overbearing blanket of like, you know, Gord would just flick on the light and that would be his way to have an easier night.
Yeah. But even if you like, this is something I like about Star Wars, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right. When we're talking, and for the people,
this is the next podcast we're going to do.
For the folks at home who aren't watching, I have my Star Wars: Return of the Jedi glass, 1983. I love Star Wars. Something that Star Wars, I think, hot take, I think The Last Jedi does really well is showing that it's not just light, good, dark, bad. Yeah. That there's a balance to the light side and the dark side. The problem comes when there's imbalance. Right. Right. That the yin yang symbol, where it's the light and the dark equally balanced, and there's darkness within the light and light within the darkness. Is like a symbol of harmony, so to speak. That Batman upsets that harmony. Right. And the only way to resolve, the way it resolves at the end of the film, he defeats the Joker, and then he becomes a criminal. Right. He kind of stops being Batman, and when you pick up in the next movie, Batman's been in hiding. So that's the solution. There's too much order. The Joker comes in, and in some ways neutralizes Batman in this great yin yang symbol. Now, I don't. There's no good in Joker. I wouldn't say good, but the Joker does point out what's wrong. Part of what's wrong with Gotham, in the way that comedy kind of does. Comedy can get away with things and telling us things, hard truths, that straight talk doesn't. I think. Tracking the Joker in his different scenes, you know, when you think logically too, how was he able to do all this? You know, this was over a matter of a couple days that all of this happened. You know, did he have it all so calculated and planned, even though he was, do I look like someone that has a plan? You know, or was he operating in this, like, he was just able to, it was so corrupt and so easy to manipulate the mob, between the mob, the crooked cops, the underbelly who he was able to recruit. He manipulates Dent. Right. Oh, in the end, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Two-Face is also one of the iconic villains of Batman, and like that's another it was just such like that conversation in the hospital room as well, even all the way down to the coin having one burnt side and one non-burnt side. There's just so much beautiful symbolism in the Dent character as well. The fact that they called him Two-Face Harvey, you know, internal affairs, you know, that gets brought up. It's foreshadowed early on in the film as well. But what the Joker is able to do when he walks into a room, it's like, how did he even get past there had to have been guards outside when he walks in and then like does the magic trick with the pencil, you know, like that scene where he shoves the guy's eye into a pencil. It's like so gory, but he's almost lucky as well. He almost has this stroke of luck of like the good things for him keep happening. But is it just because he's so good at what he's doing as well? That's something that I just kept coming to, is like, how did he even get into this situation? How did he think of putting himself in a garbage bag? Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because part of it too, you think about the archetype of the trickster, like the Loki, if you think about Norse mythology, or Hermes as well. There's some of that, of trickery, of this, not that. And so the pencil trick is one. The pretending to be dead in the bag is another. And that again is the part of the element of chaos where you never know what reality is. Right. And which is then the paradox of it is you never know what reality is, but then he's trying to bring about a vision of reality. Right. Which is this is what people are. Right. Fundamentally, it's almost this like this what do you say? My philosophy is not very good, but I believe Hobbes, this Hobbesian view of humanity.
Calvin and Hobbes?
What's that?
Calvin and Hobbes?
Yes, the great philosopher. Calvin and Hobbes. That humans are just these selfish, violent creatures, and it's only culture and society. And that's basically what the Joker's monologue in the hospital room is that we have a plan, and so we all calm down. But as soon as you go stray from the plan, that's when everybody starts losing their minds. And he's ultimately proven wrong, like you said, with the fairies. Right. That he gives them and the whole point's been proven right. Right. Like on the TV, he says that squirrely lawyer guy, if he doesn't die in 24 hours, he's going to blow up a hospital. Right. And everybody starts gunning for him. Right. So yeah, that's an interesting paradox of not telling the truth or not being concerned with truth and cutting through which may be called BS. Right. The Joker's always calling BS on everyone.
And he's always contradicting himself as well. He'll say something or do something, and then later on do the exact opposite or say the exact opposite. Where when he goes into the mobsters are having this meeting in broad daylight, and he calls them out for it. And let me tell you, I got a plan for you, and it's to kill the Batman. And they're like, yeah, that's crazy. Good luck with that. How are we supposed to do that? We've been trying to do that for 10 years. But then by the end, he says to him, kill you? I don't want to kill you. That's the.
Well, but here's what I think. I think that he was not a double entendre. I think he was trying to kill the Batman by pushing Batman to his breaking point, right? Where he's no longer Batman. Get Batman to break his rules or to go, and ultimately he does kill the Batman. He sets Harvey Dent off and puts Batman where he needs to sacrifice himself. And so kind of, I would say the Joker wins at the end of the day. Sure. It's the natural conclusion. He does kill Batman by making it, he wanted to take his mask off. Well, that's the way you kill Batman, because then it's not Batman anymore, it's Bruce Wayne. Right. Well, he wants Batman to run him over. Batman doesn't take a life. Right. So if he kills him, he's not Batman anymore. Right. He, all of these things. So he was trying to, I think, in some sense, kill, whereas all the mobsters were thinking, I'll just physically harm him. Right.
That's a good point. That takes that layer deeper.
Another way in which the Joker points out something that's true, or say destroys at the same time, is he has the pile of money. He's got the mob's money. Right. He's got it piled up, and he's got Lau on top. Yep. And he burns it. Yep. And it's so, every villain, every superhero villain is either out to take over the world, get revenge, or tons of money. It's just those are the 2 or 3. Yeah. And this was incredibly unique and so character defining. But he also shows the truth of it, that money's just paper. And he says, I'm a man of cheap taste. I like gasoline and gunpowder and dynamite, I think is what
and
it
was.
The
thing about those things is they're cheap.
Yeah, and he burns it. Yep. And that's such a good, that sums up his character entirely. Right. And then he says at the end, it was never about the money, it's about sending a message. It's about, so it's almost corrective to the mobsters. Right. Because they're all about the money. I mean, that's why they commit crimes. It's organized crime. So he's almost this judgment figure, where he lays judgment on the city, or reveals, and that's what comedy does. It lays judgment and it reveals things. So yeah, I thought that was a very fun. And then of course at the end, I'm only burning my half. It's just, I love it.
Yep.
There's so many good, clever little
Yep.
bits in this. My last little clever thing I loved. I don't normally find movies funny, especially when a movie wants me to find it funny. I have a very dry sense of humor, but I admit I chuckled when Harvey Dent asks Alfred if Rachel has any crazy ex-boyfriends that he should know about. And Alfred just says, "You have no idea." And just walks off. And we as the audience understand. Then
Right.
Harvey's like...
Harvey's thinking this old guy's messing with me.
Yeah, what the heck? Yeah, no, it just... I thought that... I
No, it is.
that.
It's a cool line.
I'm kind of curious what you think. I noticed a motif, which always makes me feel precocious. Yes, pinky's out. I don't even know if precocious is the right word, but I'm going to use it.
I like it.
A motif I noticed. Dogs. Dog. So if you follow me here. So at the beginning of the movie, you have the Rottweilers, the very Russian mobster guy. He's got his Rottweilers, and they attack Batman. And Batman goes to
His dogs are hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes to Lucius Fox, and he says, how does it do against dogs? And you brought up, and I didn't even think about it. You want to share what you noticed?
It should do fine against cats. And then the next film you have the beautiful Anne Hathaway's Catwoman.
Oh, you like Anne Hathaway?
I do like Anne Hathaway.
I don't like Anne Hathaway in movies. It's my least favorite part of Les Miserables. Man, nobody's going to want to listen to this podcast with all my hot takes. I'm just giving the most unpopular opinions. I like The Last Jedi. I don't like Anne Hathaway. The Joker's a good guy. No, so he asks for the suit to be...
he wants to be able to move his neck. Yeah.
Yeah, he says he wants to be able to fight the dogs.
Right.
The Joker's multiple times referred to as a dog let off its leash.
Right.
Who you were the ones who let the dog off their leash. Even the Joker refers to himself as a dog in the hospital room. He's like, I'm like a dog catching cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it.
Right.
And then he takes the dogs from the Russian guy.
Right.
And he makes the comment about, how loyal will a dog be when it's starving. And then in the climax, when he's at the top of the tower, he's got those dogs. He's got the Rottweilers around him.
Right.
And when they attack Batman, they're all ripping at him. You just see the Joker go animalistic. Like, you haven't really seen this kind of... I mean, you kind of do when he's beating Batman up in the street.
Yep.
But...
Because he wanted to get caught then.
Yeah. But this is just ferocious.
Right.
And so I noticed this. I thought this was really interesting, intentional. All these things about dogs. I don't quite know what it means. Apart from the Joker's he's basically an animal.
Right. I think there's this element of foreshadowing constantly, and I think what the dogs represent too is this, because they could be order or chaotic as well. The dog, you train the dog. I'm sure there's that reel out there where it's like, how long would it take for your household dog to eat you if you died in the house and it didn't have any food? So they'll return back to their natural instincts whenever they're desperate. Even like the most trained, well-behaved dog in reality, let alone, So I think there's that. Like they can be representative of a well-trained, ordered dog. These Rottweilers will listen to whoever's feeding them, but they will turn on.
Yeah, that's his whole view of humanity.
Right.
And of Gotham is the anarchy.
Yeah.
And if you leave people be, they'll turn it back into animals.
Well, I think there's also, if you'll let me muse for a second as well, on one of my, if not my favorite, rock and roll groups is Pink Floyd. And there's an album called Animals, and there are 3 types of people in this world representative of animals. There are dogs, pigs, and sheep. And the sheep are the followers, the blind followers of system. The pigs are the gluttons of society who bring things in. The dogs are those who take advantage. So, and that's the theme of that album that Roger Waters came up with thematically. And the dogs of war won't capitulate is one of the lines from the Dogs song and everything. So it's, the dogs of war is what I thought of right away. They're always pushing and fighting and going for the next meal, and the Joker represents that. He's not going to be satiated until he's done. And that's why I think at that ending point when he's in the skyscraper looking over the harbor at the ferries, he's so desperate in that moment because he knows, like, if the Batman catches me now and these don't blow up, I lose. I'm kind of out. But then he talks about his ace in the hole. Speaking back to your card metaphor, his ace in the hole was Dent the whole time. All of this was really just a distraction to let Dent go rampant because he turned Dent. But one of my favorite scenes or things that I noticed this watch through, which I hadn't noticed before, especially with this topic in mind of chaos versus, was it spontaneous chaos or was he ordered in his chaos? He was so meticulous in his chaos. When the Joker, it was just for a split second, when the Joker is on the phone relaying onto the speakers on the two ferries, he is reading off of a notebook.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The Joker's notebook. And you just see it for a flash of a second. I'm like, there. That tells me right there that this Joker, that he is methodical and planned out and he writes it all out. And, or at least in that moment, had to script it out so that way he got it right. And he was very careful with his words. It was all so calculated. How long did it take to load those barrels of oil onto those massive boats? So like I'd loved being able to catch that in this watch through. I'd never noticed before that he's reading from a script while he's on the phone. It's even pinned up against the wall while he's on the phone. I thought that was fascinating.
Yes, that's a very good point. A funny aside, who the real hero was? Whoever on Joker's crew had to load barrels of oil between the two ferries and Dent and Rachel's rooms. I mean, I'm Joker's barrel guy.
Here you are calling the Joker and his guys heroes again.
Oh, no!
I don't know. You're coming across...
He's only that way because there wasn't adequate mental health services in Gotham. Did you not watch the Arthur Fleck Joker movie?
I watched the first one.
Yeah, you didn't watch Joker on the Flea, whatever the heck it was called.
You're gonna get hate in that. You're gonna get hate for that in the comments too.
Be good to have. It's engagement. That's what I said. Right. It's my strategy.
I tend to, unless I'm really convicted one way or the other to watch or not watch, I will sit back a little bit. I'm not your storm the midnight premiere much anymore. Especially, I gotta go to bed too. I'm not going to Thursday night premieres anytime soon. Plus, everything's gonna be on streaming eventually. We've gotten to be a little lazy.
we got a little spoiled in COVID.
I love the theater though. I will say, I worked in a movie theater in high school. I loved being around it. People would come in. I would talk to them after they watched a movie that was like an average, the C-listers were the stars of whatever movie, and they would come out and I'd say, "What'd you think?" And they would tell me what they thought. And I would kind of give a jab back because I had seen the end of all these movies a million times because you go in and clean the theater right before it ends. So oftentimes I'd see the ends of a lot of these movies. So I really liked the idea of the theater experience though too. And this was one of the films. And I was actually reminded by my cousin Julia that whenever I was in high school, I traveled back to the Pittsburgh area where I grew up and was visiting family in 2008 when this came out. And we went to see it. I went to see it with her and with my aunt, my cousins. We all went to see the film together in theater. So I remember seeing this in theater as well, The Dark Knight.
And I believe it was this movie. There was a shooting at the showing, scared a bunch of people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Maybe a topic we can talk about in the future is violence in films. Talk about a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Right.
Maybe Django. But anyway, let's talk about Harvey Dent. Let's talk about Two-Face. Because I think it's a really interesting character. Because I think he's also a foil to Batman. The White Knight and the Dark Knight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's got this very pretty boy, everybody knows somebody like Harvey Dent.
Right.
He graduated top of his class, smarmy.
Really handsome.
Yeah. little courtroom shenanigans when the guy pulls the gun out, and he, if you're
Gotham's district attorney and you're not getting shot at, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Yes.
One of Maggie's great lines.
Yes. No, I'm not getting.
We're not going there. We're not.
But yeah, he's this. Yeah, he's the pretty boy. He's the good guy. But then he's also got that Two-Face nickname.
Right.
Something in Jungian psychology, and something the good Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about. The shadow. It's the negative parts of our personality that we tend to suppress.
Right.
Because we don't want to think about ourselves as capable of evil. And there's some of that's good. You don't want to just act on all of your evil impulses, but the journey of actualizing your personality is to integrate that shadow self into your person. So you don't want to be meek and mild and people walk over you. You need to be a little dangerous. You need to be able to defend yourself. You need to be able to fight because there's things that are worth fighting for.
Right.
So this movie is also, when you think about that yin and yang symbol, Batman and Harvey both have darkness within them.
Right.
Batman's so focused on justice that he's willing to do a very unethical thing with the phone listening devices.
Right.
Dent, you can already see where he's got that one, the thug, the guy who's pretending to be a police officer. And he's threatening him, and you can see it, the anger. The Joker breaks, Rachel's death breaks Batman and Harvey. It's what they do with it afterwards, where Harvey becomes this disjointed, two-faced. I mean, and I have to say, the special effects on Harvey holds up.
Oh, absolutely.
I went into, it's been a little while since I've seen.
You know how I know it holds up?
Why?
I think most of these films that we do for a show, I'll sit down in this very room and watch them with my lovely wife Jess, and it was at that point that because at certain moments I'll glance over and see how she's reacting to something. I wanted to watch her with the jump scare in Jaws as well. I was watching to see how high she'd jump out of her chair, and she didn't disappoint. But with this, I wanted to see her. I happened to glance over, and because at first he turns and you don't see him, so you kind of I love this with Nolan. He did a great edit there where, Gordon sees it, and you can kind of see that you saw that fire hit his face, so and if you know anything about the character, then you can kind of understand. But there's still that level of then the edit, then the next shot he does turn and you do see it. And she had her hands like this. She didn't want to see it. She's so innocent and lovely in that way about her. But it's just so funny that it holds up for sure. It's gory and
the other depictions of Two-Face in film have been kind of goofy looking, kind of cartoony, Play-Doh-y kind of. And this is just it's horrific. His jaw, and even I thought this was an interesting gross detail. There's little specks of gore on the pillow that you can see out of frame. Good
detail
out of focus. I mean,
and when he takes the shot and it drips out,
and he wipes his chin
the fact that it dripped, that they thought to make sure that's again. It's those little details for me as well, again, in this that are just that make it, excellent. They don't just turn the exposure way down on the cameras to make it scary for Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah. Excuse me? Pattinson's Batman's not scary because of its visuals. It's scary because you're getting me going.
I made a film joke too. Just turn the exposure down.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm not.
You want an example of that real quick?
Yes, please
I'm in the edit. I'm gonna turn the exposure down right now, and now I'll put it back to normal.
Oh, very good. I like that.
Do you think I got a little scary? Did I look
probably.
Scary? Put it in the comments.
Well, for those poor people listening, I'm sorry. You're out of luck. And now we're back.
Now we're back. Was that the mid-roll? We put the mid-roll there?
Yeah.
See, I know we made a good joke when our producer laughs in the corner of the room. That means we made a good joke.
Another point I wanted to bring up, I noticed lots of descent.
Descent?
In this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Lots of descending.
I think that's the real meaning of The Dark Knight, is this descent.
Oh, well, we're not at the end of the episode.
I think that's the descent.
Don't spoil, but I think it's worth noting also, we're talking about the second act of a 3-act story.
Yeah.
And if you think about like a piece of music, it's there's ups and downs, and typically the middle of your second act is when things get dark,
right?
Or when it is a descent downwards. But you see, I noticed, Batman flies down the parking garage. Mm-hmm. He descends onto the van. He descends out of the sky down onto Lau's tower.
Yep.
With his wings. Joker climbs up to the penthouse and throws Rachel off, and Batman has to descend with her.
He descends down the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He
ends up throwing Maroni off the roof, which is just a very clever. I thought that was a really cool bit. You should do better. A fall from this height wouldn't kill me. I'm counting on it. And it just breaks his legs.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Superman would never do that.
Right.
But it's fun. So
right.
That's a descent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the final battle, or the climactic battle, is at the top of a tower.
Yep.
And so Batman then has to reclimb up, defeat the Joker. Mm-hmm. But then we get one more descent at the very end of the movie because him and Dent fall off of the ledge, and they descend down.
Yep.
And then if you've ever seen Batman Begins, the first act, the descent down into the cave is important. Yep. And then in our third act, the great climb out of the pit is this great upward mobility. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting. There was all of these descending actions. What do you think about that?
No, I have two things that stand out that I want to comment on. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a common motif, to use the word again, to see in a film like this, where you're going to the underbelly, you're going to the criminal, you're crossing over. There's no island in this film. I think you either are on one side or the other. There's not a lot of, until the very end when Batman kind of becomes that 13th egg and he's able to stand on the line. And that's what he realizes he has to do. He's not a hero. He's not a villain. He is the Dark Knight. But two things that I want to point out. When you say the third act, or do you mean the third film? Or okay, yeah, because there's the pit with Bane in the third film. Yes, and that's obviously very important through that. The other, I don't want to, go back and point out too much, but you're right. Whenever Batman defeats the Joker, but then the Joker reveals that this was all really just a distraction because now Dent's going nuts and the White Knight's ruined. He throws the Joker from the tower. There's the Joker's descent, but he shoots down and catches him. And then Joker has that great line about gravity.
Well, yeah, and there's it's an inversion. The Joker's literally flipped upside down. Mm-hmm. So chaos is necessary. The Batman has to save Joker, and that's the problem. That was the original, if you want to call it the original sin of the movie, was that we tried to get rid of all chaos. Mm-hmm. We tried to catch all of the criminals. The 12 eggs. Right. We had this complete system. It rose up. It was on top, so chaos can't be in charge. And that was the problem. And that's what height often symbolizes. Right. Is power or authority. Right. Batman has to dethrone the Joker, literally flip him upside down, and even that yin-yang symbol, with the dark underneath. Yeah. Did you find the quote?
I did. He just... I wanted to pull this one spot of madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Yeah.
So the little push of the Joker in different ways. You could say that the little pushes were a little bit bigger of pushes. But in Gotham, banks were robbed every day. probably.
Well, Bruce Wayne's parents were killed.
Right.
Like that's
there was corruption and murder and racketeering.
Yeah. No, and that shows that atrophy. That things tend towards chaos. We have to push against it.
Yeah, Gotham was always one push from that. Yeah, they were always one step away from collapse. Mm-hmm. Because there was so much turmoil at every turn. There wasn't a lot of that. You have I was always thought it was always interesting too on the ferry the man who stands up and says nobody wants to get their hands dirty, I'll do it, and then he can't do it.
Yeah.
His moral complex gets in the way.
And so what I think is interesting, and if we want to bring some Christian themes into this, so let me start first with let's go back to that 13th egg. Which I just think for this movie is so important. If you look at in the Old Testament with the sacrificial system, where you have the scapegoat, where the sins of the nation get placed on this one animal, and if you think about it, it doesn't make sense to let it go. Like if it's got all the sins and the way, the punishment of sin is death, why don't you just kill the goat? But there's this sense in which it has to leave. You got to take what's wrong and put it out. Put it on the outside for the sake of the group. And so that's where the goat is released out into the wilderness. And so then when you look at Christ as a scapegoat, where he took on the sins of humanity, and then on the cross, he was never rejected by the Father, but he has this feeling of rejection, this moment, and even
his humanity, absolutely.
His descent into hell. He descends down, he goes out, and hell is the ultimate out. It's the ultimate other. He has to go out. Right. Okay, so then you've got this example of the guy on the ferry. And the criminals. Nobody's willing to get their hands dirty. Nobody's willing to do the thing, which arguably for the people the citizens in the boat, there was children, there was women and children on there. You could make a moral argument to flipping the key. Nobody could do it. Right. Batman, to save Gotham, has to take on the sins of Harvey Dent, take responsibility for the murders, and go out. He's the outcast now. Right. And I loved the line, the monologue at the end, not the hero that we deserve, but the hero that we need. That's Batman's arc in this movie. Is he becomes the scapegoat. And Batman dies. It's a death. The Batman dies. When we start the next movie, nobody's seen the Batman in years. And there has to be a resurrection. There's a rebirth of Batman.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that film even ends with him again out. So it's not there's not a full retribution even back to the way it was even prior. The Joker completely changed the game, for Batman. And I think too, something for me that really stands out for this this moment as well, what we're talking about with Dent is his ability to he knows everything at that point. He knows who the crooked cops are. He knows what the Joker's true motives are. He knows everything. He knows about Gordon. He knows he knows everything except Batman. And at that point, it didn't necessarily cross his mind that the Batman would have even shown up in that moment. He thought it was just one-on-one with Gordon. It was going to be complete justice, fair. This is what's fair. He was at peak. That you kind of got into that earlier. It's like, just because it's fair, does that make it right? Is it fair that obviously Jim Gordon's little boy is killed? No. But in Harvey's mind, it's what's fair because he lost his loved one. So it's, eye for an eye. And you talk about Christian mentality. an eye for an eye is kind of taken away in the New Testament, in the New Covenant with Jesus. And I think that that's something that, when you look at the Dark Knight, White Knight elements of those characters, Dent is representative of a character that is incomplete, but he is someone that is on that, again, kind of enters that line of the fence of like, because what would he have done next? If say Batman doesn't come, or he gets held up by the Joker even further, he kills the boy, he then leaves, I guess, and then he goes on and finds the next person who he deems to had been treated unfairly to be brought to the light. So he just keeps going, and he would have never stopped. In this corrupt city, he would have gone to every cop in the city and flipped a coin. Mm-hmm. So then, just like the boats, the ferries, it's like 50-50. Everything's about fair. Mm-hmm. But no, you have to look at things differently. You have to say, you know what, we have to do what's right for this moment, and let the criminal be judged, so to speak, by his peers. And I think that's the back to society, because it had truly reached anarchy at that point. Mm-hmm. But that's the key right there. I think of the people on the ferries not turning their key to blow up the other boat. And the Joker was really upset. You got to know, everybody's got to do this. I got to do this myself. Mm-hmm. that line there that I just butchered. But yeah, I think that's a great representation of the moral complex that Gotham was on the path of healing. Maybe they didn't need a Batman anymore at that point. But then you find out, when the Dark Knight Rises it comes, it's not necessarily the case. It's still, it still needs to be purged. And that's, that line right there reminds me, that point right there reminds me of the great, symbolism with Alfred giving the his wartime experience reference about the thief in Burma, right? Where and Batman asks him, how did you end up catching the thief? We burnt the forest down. So, and that's what Bane comes and does in the last movie, is he wants to burn society down. That's what Ra's al Ghul wants to do in the first movie, is burn the city down. Any society needs to be completely leveled, to then rise above out of the ashes. This
is where I level a criticism at modern, and I was maybe postmodern. I don't know where you draw the line.
Sure.
This Joker versus Joaquin Phoenix Joker, which we already kind of talked about it, where the Joker, why is the Joker the way he is?
Sure.
Well, it's the mental illness. It's we try and rationalize every villain. It's a very modern habit to say, well, the villain's only a villain because at one point the hero hurt him. Mm-hmm. It was Bruce Wayne's dad who, might have been Arthur Fleck's dad. And we really want to rationalize, and maybe that's just our post-liberal enlightenment, where, we want to have sympathy, compassion. Whereas this shows that there are some men that just want to watch the world burn, that there's destruction, like Dent. And I think that's a good point you actually bring up with Dent, like what's he going to do afterwards, where it's never going to be enough. The revenge, the justice, the, Maroni, he spares Maroni and then he shoots the driver, and he's just going to keep going. It never ends.
Right. And that's one of the most famous lines from this film is, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And obviously Dent has fully made the switch. He's the villain now, but he is saved as well. That script gets flipped because he dies a hero because of Batman. And then the eulogy at the end, juxtaposed with Batman getting chased. I thought that was an interesting. I noticed that this watch through as well, that they flash forward real quick to his eulogy, but then back to Gordon talking to Batman in the warehouse, the burnout warehouse, and everything, and they start chasing him, and the line that he's speaking to his son.
Yeah, I think I had an epiphany a couple of months ago, thinking about this movie, thinking about that line, the hero we needed, not the hero we deserve. and kind of internalizing that as a father,
Sure.
as a young father, with kids and a husband, and something that I think I get caught up in is the idea, like, what does my family deserve? My wife deserves this kind of husband. My children deserve this kind of father.
Right.
And we can actually, I find as parents, we can be sometimes pretty selfish in the way we view parenting, because we're trying to fix our own childhood, where we focus on the things, well, my parents didn't do this, so I'm going to make sure I'm doing this. And it ends up being more about that than how are you parenting your kids. And so you get so caught up in what do my kids deserve? That you lose sight of what does your family need? What do they need you to be?
Right.
And so, and I think especially just like as men, we tend to think like in the work, in the financial sphere, or in these like material achievements of, well, I need to do this. They deserve to have this vacation. They deserve to have the pool, to have the money for soccer, to do soccer this year.
Right.
It's like, well, what do they need? And it's a sacrifice. Honestly, you lay down your what I think a father should be. What kind of father do I want to be?
Right.
And you sacrifice that to, well, what do they need from me right now? And maybe I can't give them what they deserve, but I can give them what they need. And that was a really helpful. That was a really helpful realization from that line of the difference between. It wasn't Batman wasn't the hero that what is it? He's not the hero Gotham deserves. He's the hero Gotham needs.
Right.
I thought
so transferring that to you as a father, or myself as a father, saying, I need to be what my family needs me to be. It's not always the hero.
Yeah, and so that's even Alfred says, got to be more than a hero. I thought that was a brilliant question.
Right.
What is more than a hero? And I would say, from a Christian perspective, a sacrifice. Because what he's meaning as hero is Achilles going down in a blaze of glory with the bodies of your slain enemies.
Well, that's what Dent was. He was the hero.
Yes.
But Gotham, heroes die. And that was the line that Dent always kind of hung on, was like, either die the hero or you see yourself become the villain.
Yes.
You live long enough, So like, yeah, if you're going to be more than a hero for your family, you're going to step up and maybe make the comment of like, hey, we need to, budget's been this way this month. Let's make sure we're watching here, and do so in a non-accusatory way, or just maybe don't even bring it up like that. Make sure you, you sit down and have a full conversation of a budgeting meeting. There's some really good resources out there that Jess and I use for, for monthly kind of checkpoints or weekly checkpoints even, for those types of things. And, it's hard. Not many, I'm sure you could agree that not many conversations over financials are very comfortable or easy. So, or even just with your children, you want to love them and you never hurt them. But if they do something that's like, that's dangerous, you kind of need to let them know to not do that again, or to teach them, hey, but if you're always doing that as well, you're always bringing it to a 10, then that also doesn't have that effect either. So you have to know to be. There's
the doing something that nobody will ever know about. Do the sacrifice, and I think. Oh yeah. Maybe not so much as a parent, although there is that. I mean, that's all of parenting, is your kids are unaware. Yeah. But even with your spouse, right? Where we all have ways of doing the chores in a way to make sure that they're seen. You turn the water on extra loud when you do the dishes, and you leave the trash by the door for a little bit. We're all human. It happens. Yep. But Batman has that very sacrificial that nobody knows. In fact, he's the villain. Everybody hates him. Yep. For it.
Right. Well, no, and it's again a Christian, a Christian mantra of obviously when the apostles ask Jesus how to pray, how do we pray, and and Jesus gets into the Our Father, but then going in praying to your Father in secret, and anoint your head when you're fasting. Don't parade around your offerings as the scribes do or Pharisees do. All these things you're meant to do for God, not for God and for your family. It's something that we're called to be in a Christian worldview, and it's something that I think I know for the two of us, especially, even watching a film like this, there's those moments of like, oh, this is just, I don't know about you, but for me, for sure, there were these moments of, this is just so unrealistic now. It's Murphy's Law almost. If it can go wrong, it will. And it's like, it's a comic book movie. It's a superhero movie. So like, and I think that's where the entertainment kicks in. These themes remind us of that, and we might not have to fight a Joker, or have to push back the mob influence, or have to face the trials of life too often in this world, but like these characters do, but it's good to be reminded of those themes and try our best to access that level of what's morally correct in our own lives.
I don't get taken out of movies for unrealistic things. I'm too gullible. There's very few things in movies. Red Dawn is one that I can't. It takes me out of completely the unrealism of it. But I agree.
Yeah, so I think from a filmmaking side, there were a couple things that I noticed. I don't know if you noticed, there were several continuity errors, especially early in the film. I think that was done to make a choice of keeping the pace up when you're having a lot of dialogue that you're trying to not, like you said earlier, tell the story, not show the story, not tell the story. Show me what I want to see.
I miss a lot of those details.
Yeah,
so I'm glad you picked them up. Was there a specific continuity error?
The specific one that I have in mind was, and nothing against what Christopher Nolan and Lee Smith were able to do, because I think to cut this film down into, the runtime that it was, like 157, I think it was, it was to cut it down to that and to have that much story with all these new characters being introduced and so much going on, I thought was brilliant. And a critical recast, in Rachel, but I think they kind of glossed right into that. Katie Holmes had to dive out for some reason, but no, I think the one shot is, now I'm forgetting but I think the one shot is with Dent speaking to Rachel, and then there's another one where Gordon is talking to Batman, and tack it up to the fact that they were trying to keep the edit quick, and they probably just didn't have that shot, and they weren't obviously going to go back and do a pickup for those. This was but my comment is really that because of the edit, they wanted the tighter runtime, even though it was 2.5 hours. I thought the movie could have easily been a 4-hour or a 2-parter, there was so much going on.
The pacing was really good.
Yeah, the pacing was so quick the whole time. Except for there were a couple spots where you felt like it was going long, but it did that on purpose as well. Mm-hmm. A couple key spots.
I thought a very striking visual was the Joker's semi being flipped head over tail. I mean, the silence, the music cuts, and it.
Right. There's another descent.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's a upside down.
Yep.
It's a reversion. Mm-hmm. And that whole sequence, the action. Yeah. It's just great. Joker pulls out a bazooka. What? Yeah. I mean, that's Batman. That is Batman, pure and simple. I love it.
Waiting for the big hammer that says "pow" on the side.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I like how the guy, the timing of it. The guy's like, "Well, it's going to take a lot more than bullets to break through this," and that's when the Joker pulls out the bazooka. Right.
Yeah. It's in those moments. I guess those are the moments they wanted to. They didn't want the dialogue or the story to distract from. They wanted to be able to. If they were going to take anything away, they were going to take a little bit of the dialogue away. But they wanted to keep those action sequences. They're so good. The one of my favorite lines from the film is the joke that Batman makes, and that's a point that I wanted to make too. Is that the Joker is the villain, but so Batman is teetering on this line of chaos, of order. Is what gives you the right? to be Batman, and he makes the line of I'm not wearing hockey pants.
Yeah.
And the guy looks down like, oh. Yeah. There's that. But that he makes a joke. He is the Joker in the movie. He kind of does that a little bit. I also thought you were just talking about the flipping of the semi, but the shot where the Joker gets grabbed when he's descending off the building and Batman saves him, pulls him up. The camera at first is very, Dutch. It's very extremely crooked. And then it slowly, as it cuts back and forth between Batman and the Joker, it ends up showing the Joker transposed completely upside down, but it's showing him as if he was right side up. Mm-hmm. So it's like that is representative of his motive was flipped, in that moment. I thought that shot was really well done. That mirrored perspective. That's the shot that I think each film we're gonna maybe call out one of my favorite, probably my favorite shot from each film. In Jaws, it's the parallax shot on the beach. Here in this one, it's the twist there of the Joker being inverted. I thought it was just beautifully clever to eventually end up on a shot. You can tell he's hanging there. He's hanging there, but he's shown right side up. And the last point I wanted to make is, especially even right at the end, but throughout it seemed, and this is a comment my wife even made, was it's so loud there you could barely hear what they're saying. It's a little bit on purpose. Mm-hmm. The audio mix was jacked up. It's meant to, you have to kind of wince even to hear what they're saying, but it's so loud at the same time that you're not. It's to disorient you on purpose. It's not meant to take you take what you're hearing for granted. You're just trying to put you in the scene. So I thought the audio mix was well done in the edit. But yeah, those are some of the filmmaking notes that we can interject into. Maybe more of the middle of the episode rather than right at the end.
You're a magic wizard with the editing.
The wizard, it's called cut.
The real meaning of The Dark Knight.
What's the real meaning of The Dark Knight? Gosh. Tell me.
This is stupid.
This is just for Wilson, okay? Yeah. He's not here right now. Producer Matt's not here.
Also a bit of I hear the RFK there.
The RFK is a little higher pitched. The thing in Gotham is the Joker's poisoning us. He's putting GMOs in the coffee. The coffee has GMOs. The government had killed Harvey Dent like
Turn
they
the
killed
cameras off, please.
When my uncle was president, the McRib was actually made with pork. It was made with real pork. It wasn't biochemical glycophosphates.
I like your RFK better than your Trump. I like the Trump a lot though, but
well, you see here, no, okay.
The Joe Biden's so straight though.
Here's the deal. Okay, the Joker. I remember the Joker.
You're being too articulate.
The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight. I remember the first time I met him. I said, "Hey, Jack, don't mug me."